Hello and welcome to the MAC weather page for this Monday, August 15th. And we had some showers last night across mid-Michigan, about 2/10 of an inch of rain here in the Breckenridge area. And some other areas picked up quite a bit more rain. The big story for today, though, is going to be the flood watch across southwest lower Michigan, where 1 to 3 inches, maybe locally 4 or 5 inches, could fall from around the I-96 area off to the south, with lesser amounts as you head farther north and west. But some of the models, there's a little bit of disagreement. Some of them put some of the heavier rains well up into mid-Michigan, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. You can see our normals. The normal high is 81 for the day. The normal low is 57. 1 year ago, we had a high of 83 and a low of 62. If we look at conditions around the area yesterday, temperatures mainly in the low 80s across much of the area. You can see a ½ inch of rain picked up at Jasper, around a third of an inch at Blissfield, 2/10 here in Breckenridge, and some scattered lighter amounts elsewhere, as some of the activity was quite spotty, but where it did rain, it briefly came down quite heavily. If we look at the conditions around the area this morning, temperatures in the mid-60s across much of the area, and you can see the area where our flood watch is currently in effect. Don't be surprised to see the National Weather Service maybe extend some of these up a county or two, as far as maybe a flash flood watch. Again, I think this looks good for the flood watch area. But again, I think if we, as we get into the afternoon, we may see some of these counties off to the east and southeast lower Michigan go under a flash flood watch, but we'll see what happens once that precipitation begins to move this way. If we look at the satellite view this morning, you can see we have a big Bermuda high across the southeastern U.S., and again, that moisture rotating around that and up through the Gulf into the Ohio Valley. It's going to be moving into the Great Lakes here by late this afternoon. I think the heaviest rains will move in tonight into early Tuesday morning. And we have another system off to the northwest there, and that's going to help to pull that moisture farther north into the Great Lakes region. If we look at the radar this morning, you can see the activity off to the southwest, but it is moving to the north. And again, with the help of this system moving off from west to east, that'll help to pull it up into the state. And again, right now it looks like the area from around Bay City to South Haven, and from there south and east, we could see several inches of rainfall today, so we'll keep an eye on that. If we look at the moisture percentage so far for the year, you can see we're up to 76% right now of normal for the growing season. That's up from 68%, so you can see what the rains have done here that we picked up Thursday through Sunday. And again, it might end up being misleading when we come back and look at things, but one thing's for sure, the last 2 weeks of June, the first 2 weeks of July, and then the first 11 days of August certainly were periods of very dry conditions that no doubt has diminished our yield potential. If we look at the couple locations here, you can see as we looked in through July, if not for the 6 inches and 5 of that coming in one storm in the Jasper area, they would pretty much both be sitting at about 8 inches of rain so far for the growing season, and that's about half of what we saw last year in those two locations in southeast lower Michigan, and they're actually not even the worst as far as moisture is. Right now, the worst areas look to be around the Breckenridge and Owego area, and then across much of southwest Ontario. And you can see, due to the very dry conditions, and we're certainly a lot warmer, 12 90-degree days in the Breckenridge area, 10 in Middleton, and a slew of 9 and 8s across the area. So much warmer summer as we had figured it would be all along. Not sure we're going to hit our 15 that I forecast in Breckenridge, but we're getting close. And we got a pretty cool air mass coming in for this weekend. You can see the latest drought index that was issued for the period ending last Tuesday. It came out Thursday, so the new one will come out for tomorrow. Tomorrow will be issued on Thursday, and we should see a great deal of improvement across much of southern lower Michigan as far as these drought conditions go. But you can see severe drought conditions in parts of the southern Saginaw Valley area and across southeast lower Michigan and much of north central Ohio. If we look at the soil conditions, you can see much improvement certainly has occurred over the last 4 days with all the rain. Nobody now near the 200 mark at the 2-inch level. Still a little bit dry in the Breckenridge area at the 8-inch level, but that's because the moisture is just now settling into that area. Over the next couple of days, with more rain expected, we're going to see very moist soil conditions across the entire area. Still quite dry at the 2-inch level at Blissfield, where they've not seen nearly as much rain, but again, I think they'll pick up some heavier rain here over the next 24 to 36 hours. If you look at this morning's weather map, you can see low pressure system across southwest Missouri. Again, that's going to move right up towards the southern part of the state, and that's the remnants of that storm that brought as much as 35 to 40 inches of rain over parts of the southern areas of Louisiana and Mississippi, where extensive flooding, near historic flooding, has been occurring down there. And again, that moisture will be surging to the north today and tonight into early tomorrow before moving out on Wednesday. By Tuesday morning, that low pressure system is into the southern Great Lakes again, and it'll continue to bring us showers and thunder showers at least through the midday hours before I think things begin to dry out somewhat. And then by Wednesday, that'll be well off to the northeast. High pressure will begin to move in. But again, we have another system that's going to be dropping down later in the week, and that could bring some strong storms and maybe some of the chilliest air we've seen in a while. Over the weekend, we may have highs in the 70s, or maybe even struggling to get into the 70s, with lows in the 50s and maybe even some lows in the 40s. So it'll be somewhat of a fall-like air mass moving into the area as we get towards next weekend. As far as precipitation, you can see on the GFS model the heaviest rains across the area from the thumb back towards southwest lower Michigan. And you can see in the bigger text that I put down, these are some of the numbers that the European model puts out, and it brings a lot of the heavier rains up into central Michigan. And if we look at the Canadian model, you can see there's much agreement there. It also places some of the heaviest rains across mid-Michigan back into southwest lower Michigan, but still plenty of rainfall across southeast lower Michigan. So with all three models really showing a lot of rainfall across this area, I think that's why the flood watch has been issued for that area. But again, there could be some significant rainfall all the way up. You can see 2.9 forecasted at Mount Pleasant and 3 inches at Alma. So some we got to keep an eye on for later today and tonight. And as far as the WPC, they're suppressing much of the heaviest rain across southeast lower Michigan, but still substantial rains even up around the Tri-Cities with up to a ½ inch to an inch. So either way, I think most areas are going to get plenty of rainfall here over the next 36 hours. And as far as the WPC over the next 7 days, we got more rain coming for the end of this week. And again, we'll watch that. Some of those could be on the severe side. This will be a pretty strong cold front clashing into some very moist and humid air. So we'll keep an eye on that as the days go by. Thanks for stopping by and have a great day, a great work week, and 73s to all.